EDCI 706FZ. This is Dr. Palermo with your Week 3 instructional video. It is September 10th as I'm recording this, and this weekend we will be together in Fayetteville. Reading and preparing for this weekend's face-to-face meeting in Fayetteville is your primary task in the first start here of Week 3. So in Chapter 3 of Hall and Horde, we're talking about implementing change, and in particular, I want to talk and focus this weekend about implementation configurations, how we can clarify the change, and how implementing a change, how the change process changes the things that we implement. Crazy, but I think, again, some examples might help. Chapter 3 in Hall and Horde. You should be finished with Part 2 of Graham and Ferreter, Building a Professional Learning Community at Work. We're going to talk about PLCs in light of your PLC project that's coming up this fall and spring. And we want to assess where you are in your current state of PLCs at your school and where you'll be going. So come ready to talk about that, please, and to share some data that you might have either from your CNA, OA, or a survey about the state of PLCs at your place. You should also have read Full and Leading in a Culture of Change. And if you can give that a good skim before you come this weekend, we will spend some time on the model and on thinking about influencing the culture of your school. Leading in a Culture of Change, there are a couple of discussion board posts. I'm not going to ask you to write prior to our meeting. We are going to do a bunch of this stuff in class together when we meet face-to-face on September 11th, 14th, and 15th. So here are some of the things that are coming up in our first week-to-week meeting. We are going to talk about Full and Culture of Change. We are going to talk about your projects, the PEC, the PLCA, and the FCEPA. And you should skim and know some of these resources prior to that time. I asked you to respond to that in the discussion board last week. If you bring the documents or the surveys that you feel you may use in your PLC, let's talk about those this weekend as well. I threw in a bunch of other stuff that I want to work on with you, but I've been thinking a whole lot about a statewide rollout of a new reading assessment program. I'm fortunate and happy that all of you do work in public schools, so we have that in common. I think that many of you, we have I guess a middle or high school outlier, but many of you work in elementary schools and are being included in a rollout of a new innovation, and that is a new statewide program to assess reading. It's called iStation. I want you to bring as much information from your school as you can about this innovation. It's a political football. We'll talk about that a little bit. Whether you liked M-Class or whether you like iStation, and whether I'm using all of these terms correctly, you can correct me this weekend. But in terms of applying knowledge, taking knowledge from Hall and Horde about innovations and how to lead innovations and how not to lead innovations, I think that the North Carolina State Assessment Program is an example of a rollout that we can talk about, that you have enough hands-on experience about, that we can talk. We're going to frame implementing change in terms of iStation some this weekend. I also have some information for you here about PISA, and we're going to do an international reform activity together. If you don't know anything about PISA, look at a couple of the videos at this site. Sorry, I'm not going to go there now, but check out this PISA site, and there's a couple of 2-3 minute videos there about the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, and we'll get a little political with that one too. Action plans. The heart of the FCEP and the PLC A is an action plan where you're going to be asked to lead some change at your school, making an incremental change in PLCs and improving them over the course of this one school year, fall and spring. Make a plan in the fall, start it, assess it in the spring. KISS, keep it simple. Silly. Less is more on these action plans. If some of you feel that you are good at writing action plans, if you've been doing this as part of school improvement, if you've been doing this as part of an improvement effort at your school, you can bring and share a simple, doable action plan. I'll share some copies with you, but as principals, a couple of you are leading this stuff all the time, and you can help some of us as teacher leaders learn to write good, doable action plans. That's at the heart of the SCEP and PLCPA projects. Okay, that's probably enough for me right now. There's a bunch of stuff here. I'm going to reference this implementation configuration map for the state of Kentucky. We'll talk about some other C&I current events. I just can't stand it when I pick up the paper and there's glaring about curriculum and instruction. So I'll share that with you. Look forward to seeing you in Fayetteville this weekend. We will start at 9 o'clock Saturday morning. Make sure that you bring all of your electronic devices, extension cords, snacks, extra caffeine, and layers. It's hot, it's cold. Make sure you're prepared to work together in Fayetteville. See you there. Write or call if you have any questions in the meantime. I look forward to being with you together in our face-to-face session in Fayetteville, September 14th. Thanks.